Welcome to Coffey Talk, real stories from real people. I'm your host, Kate Coffey-Bacon, and every Monday we'll sit down for honest conversations about successes, failures, and the lessons we learn from both. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk.
This episode is recorded on November 14th, 2025.
Brad, stop.
Kate.
This is my show. This is not your show. You always start your shows like that.
I know. That's why I'm saying it. I'm
Oh.
sorry. I forgot for a moment. Once I sit down.
I know, right? You go right into it. Welcome back to Coffey Talk. Today's conversation is probably going to look a little bit different than the listeners may be used to. Normally, we talk about people's stories, but today we're talking about something that shapes all of our story, and that is time. Brad Prendergast is here, and he wanted to kick my show off in his way, but this is Coffey Talk. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here, Brad. I have known you for a couple of years, and I've always looked up to you for your thoughtfulness, for the way that you are always present, and you always see life with a bigger lens. So I thank you for sitting down and talking to me today about time. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time.
It's going to be a good one.
Ever since we first started talking about time, I think we all struggle with time. I don't think there is anyone who doesn't struggle with time or the definition of time or what time is or their use of time.
So a couple of months ago, I want to preface the episode a little bit because this is a plug for a book. A couple of months ago, you recommended, I'm going to hold it up, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkman. You recommended this book to me. I've always taken your book recommendations to heart, and you were right. It changed the way that I see the world. I have purchased this book for several people in my life, like, please read this and let's talk about it. So this book is about time. 4,000 weeks is the average amount of time a person lives. So this book is about what we do with that time. So this is not a chat around productivity. It's a conversation about what we're doing with our time, how we're being human, what we're giving our attention to.
It's strange that you say that because I have always been into this productivity race, as many people are.
Mm-hmm.
And I do quite a bit of reading. I read a lot of, I guess you could call them the self-help genre books. I'll intermingle a few fiction books in between there, a few series, but I like to stick with nonfiction. And this book was one of those books. I really do not recollect how I came upon it, but I did come upon it. It had a good rating. I usually look at the ratings to see how many people read it and what the ratings are, and I understand the whole rating system. But I was looking for a productivity book. And this is one book I really didn't read the summary for ahead of time. I said, it has a lot of good reviews. 4,000 Weeks, A Human's Guide to Time Management, I believe is the full title.
Time Management for Mortals.
Time Management for Mortals. That's it. 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. And I started reading that book. And as you had mentioned, this book completely changed my life. After reading this book, and like you, I had purchased this book for several individuals for them to read because it made such an impact to me and how I view time and how I view my life. So I'm very happy that I came across this book. I think it might have been, you just finished, when you read books, you've just finished reading this book. He has a recommendation based on what you've been reading. I think I had come across it and it just resonated with me and totally changed my life.
Yeah. The more I have I had my bookmarks going. I highlighted. I did a split, listened to it, read it. A lot of mornings I was getting ready in the morning and I was listening to it and still had it open on the counter in front of me so that I could quickly find the place in the book, and I have notes all in this book. So I have some areas of the book that I'm kind of pulling out for our discussion. I'm inviting you to do the same if there's other parts of it that you want to talk about with me. I want to start with this spot because there are lots of it that I saw myself in so much, but to kind of start the conversation, and I am so guilty of this, one of the things that he says, and as we spend so much of our lives chasing the future. So when I finally have more time, when things slow down, when I finish this project, when the kids are grown, when this, this work thing is done, then I will be able to fill in blank. But what if the point isn't to master the time that we're in? What if it's just to experience it all? So that's kind of where I want to go today, with curiosity and honesty about how we both wrestle with that. And you are far beyond me in your making peace with that, I will say.
That you hit that is the point. That portion of the book is where I think it really resonates with you. And just to go back, the 4,000 weeks, I thought it was interesting where he came up with the title, because you see 4,000 weeks. And I never thought of the concept of it, not to spoil with the book, because we are giving a little spoiler away. You have to put a little note that there's some spoilers in here. But that's where he started talking about how he asked many individuals, how long do you think the average person lives? And people were saying 50,000 weeks, 80,000 weeks, 100,000 weeks. And the answer is 4,000 weeks, which in reality isn't that long. So it is true. Then you go back to and then that whole race of where are you running to? Everybody's trying to make the most of their time today for a point in the future. And it's not only whether that future never comes, it's when do you stop? When are you at that point? Because it's like it becomes a conveyor belt. Life becomes a conveyor belt, as he even talks about this in the book, is the faster you go, the more rushed you become, and the more you want to do and the more that you need to do. So it's, when do you ever get to that point? Because there will always be something that you're going to do. It's, when I get to, you can pick the thing, when I get to finish this task, when I get to make this amount of money, when I get to go to this place. As soon as you get to that other place, you're already planning on the next thing.
The next thing. Right.
So you never really stop. And it really makes you sit back and think about what you're doing. And with that, I have so many points in the book too. I'm sorry. It makes you realize that life is, and time is finite, but there's an infinite number of things that you can do. And
I have so many points. Listen,
that's what I'm saying. We could go
going
forever.
to be a 20-minute conversation. We're not going to do this in 20 minutes. This is going to be 2 or 3.
You told me it had to be 20 minutes. And I said, with my 12 pages of notes, there's no way that's happening.
I know you texted me. You're like, I've got 12 pages of notes. I'm like, it'll be 2 or 3 parts. So I'm going to read. We're going to have story time. I have a couple of parts that I'm going to read, and I have some questions for you around them. The first one is in the facing finitude kind of portion. Being alive is just happenstance. Not one more day of it is guaranteed when you turn your attention instead to the fact that you are in a position to have an irritating experience in the first place. Matters are liable to look very different indeed. And he's talking about the inconveniences of life. He's talking about, for me, it's someone cuts me off in the airport, someone steps in front of me, a baby crying on an airplane, just all of the little inconveniences of life. And I love that perspective. It's a flip to realize that even an annoyance in life is a privilege. So traffic, unending deadlines, it's end of year, and I cannot count the number of deadlines that are on my calendar right now, the endless laundry, all those little things, right? But it's proof that we're here. We get the opportunity to participate. So here's a question for you. When did you first start thinking differently about time, not as something to control, but something to appreciate?
When I think I've always had that underlying appreciation for it, but I think after reading the book, it became more evident about that appreciation of the time for me. As you had mentioned, it's the rush and the stress to get things done versus appreciating what you have in front of you and what you're doing. As you even mentioned, it's that baby crying or the traffic or the such. It's appreciate the time that you have, and you can do other things while you have that time. And I always, you talk about the babies crying and stuff. Do you think somebody really wants to have that baby crying? So maybe being a little more patient and appreciative also helps you, and it grounds you as well. And why are you in a rush to go anywhere? And what are you going to do when you get there? So I think I've always had that. I think more so recently, and I think it's some points they even talk about into the book. And I think reading the book, a lot of things that I thought, it put into a context where I understood it myself. So it was almost like I was talking with myself, and some other individuals that I had shared this with said to me, they said, I feel like I'm talking with you as I'm reading this book. It is a lot of things that I've said to others, but this is almost like it was a dose of it thrown back at me to where I could really appreciate it from a different perspective, where somebody was mentoring me on the point of it as well.
I've been on your podcast a couple of times, and every time I've been on, the 2 times I've been on, you thank me for my time. And the first time, either you or Chris, one of the two, said that to me, I thought, wow, like, what a genuine thing to thank someone for. Not my thoughts or my opinions, but my time and the time that I put into it and the time that we spent. And I really walked away from that, Brad, like even that moment of, wow, that's such a simple thing, but it's such a huge thing. And I say that to people now all the time. I'm like, thank you.
I'm sincere when I say that, because people don't realize, and I say it with every episode, with every guest, and I say with people outside of it. It's not just something for, you talk with me personally, and many that speak with me. I appreciate everyone's time, because time to me is the currency of life. All right. Once you spend it, you don't get it back. So any moment someone spends doing something with me, whatever that may be, watching a movie, a telephone conversation, doing the podcast, is a moment they're not doing something else that they could be doing. And they don't get that time back in their life. You don't get to rewind and say, oh, I did this, I shouldn't have done it, let me do it again. Like that, your 4,000 weeks, you took a portion of your 4,000 weeks and spent it with me. And I am appreciative of everyone who does that, because they don't have to do that.
Right.
And so I've always appreciated time in that sense. That's where I'm saying reading this book gave me a different perspective of how my viewpoints of time, but someone explaining it to me as me.
Yeah. You know, I've said so many times a message that I've given to my kids, my family. We have 3 resources, and Burkeman says that time is not a resource. But using the word resource, that's a word that people know and understand, so that kind of lands with them. But I've said we have 3 resources. We have time, money, and knowledge. If you don't have one, use the other 2 to get it. One of those is time. If you don't have time, use your money and your knowledge to get more of it. And, you know, we think we want all of these things, right? We think we want it. Again, it's that chase. You know, once I get this title, once I have this salary, then I will be able to blank. But what you find is when you're in that race and you're chasing all of those things, your time starts slipping away, and you end up with money, you end up with knowledge, but you don't have time to enjoy it because you're keeping up. And so
and you'll never keep up with the Joneses.
What is it?
You'll never keep up with the Joneses.
No.
You're talking about keeping up.
No. The last couple of months, especially honestly, launching Coffey Talk, I have found new purpose in what I am doing. The conversations that I have with people that I am so genuinely thankful for. It's when you see your life, when you get to a point where you can kind of zoom back and see some things that have happened. I have met these people along my way that have afforded me what I have, and that's ability to give people a platform to tell stories. And I'll continue meeting people. That is not something that I would give up. The time that I'm able to invest in this is not something that I would give up for anything, to have that autonomy of my time. So let me take a moment and just appreciate that this is part of be present in this moment, in this time.
It is. It's important. Another interesting part in talking about a book that had a good realization is how we all try to manage our limited time to get everything done. But you have to have a realization that it will never get done, because every time you have something that you want to do, you will always want to do more. And sometimes it comes down to, how do you decide what not to do? And that's how you start feeling peace about not doing it. And as I had mentioned a few moments ago, you have a finite amount of time on this life, or within your life on this planet. but there's an infinite number of things to do. And I think social media and such sort of exaggerates that to a point, because now I can always see that Kate's on this wonderful vacation traveling in these mountains. This person's over here doing this. Oh, this new technology came out. I want to do that. Oh, this person's doing photography. I want to do photography. There is an endless number of things that you can do. Then you can actually but you won't be able to do that all. You don't have the time to do that at all. Even if you didn't work, even if you had somebody say, okay, here's all of the stuff that you need to live, right? We'll provide you with food, shelter, clothing, whatever necessities you need. You just go do what you want to do. You will never do everything that you want to do. So I think you can take that back now in the professional world. You can bring that back and say, I have all this list of things to do. How many times do people say, well, I'm just going to do this little thing. I'll get this done because tomorrow I'll have more time. Or I'm going to work late tonight because I want to finish and get this stuff done. As soon as you take that and finish that task, something else is going to fill that time of slot. Like, you never, ever get that free time back because something else will fill it. And as I said, it's almost like the more efficient you, as he even mentioned in the book, is the more efficient you get, become a limitless reservoir of people's expectations. Right? Because everyone expects you to do things and wants you to do things. And then even when you're starting to take your time on getting things done, you have a checklist. Again, it goes with how do you manage what you don't do? And then also having peace and understanding that you're not going to do it all. I work with lists now that really help me because I have some satisfaction. One, that old saying that, well, you work with the list, you can forget about it, you don't have to stress about it. It's true. And you get the satisfaction of checking it off. But I also have a good vision of what I need to do. And then I can allocate what I need to do versus what I'm not going to do. And then what I really had to do to train myself was accept, because I was the type that would just get everything done, right? I tried to get everything done. That's why I was on this productivity kick, just to start accepting that I'm not going to get things done. So if you have it on the list, it gives me, at least from my point of view, my perspective and my life, the ability to at least have it recognized that it's there, that I'm not going to get it done. And then also you can see everyone has like, oh, I have this big task to do, right? You start to get into procrastination. I have these big tasks to do. It's on my list, this big task to do. Okay, well, I have these 10 little things. I'm going to do this little thing. I'm going to do this little thing. Then I'll be able to work on this big thing. But take what I said a few moments ago, something's always going to jump into that slot and you'll always have these little things to do. So having that list helps you organize and say, okay, well, sometimes I just have to sit and just do that big thing because I need to get that done, and these little things can wait. There's so many different productivity guides, and I really wish of all the ones I read, no one really said, you can't do it all. And it really resonates with me that, it's the more you do, the more rushed you feel, the more you think you can do, the more you want, right? It's just like a never-ending cycle, whereas if you just slow down, you become more productive by acknowledging you can't do everything.
Said so many times in my job, I've said, I need to be bored. I need to get still because I live by lists. I am a productivity nerd. I am like you. I want to get it done. I want to make sure that I can show up and get the most done in the least amount of time because I've got so many things to do, right? I'm always asking. I used to ask people, like as an icebreaker, what's your favorite productivity hack? I don't ask people that question anymore. So I think I realized the importance of me as a professional being bored this past July at the beach with my family. And it was the first time that I took an actual week off in probably 4 years where I just said, I'm not working. I'm going to the beach with my family. Even last year when we went to the beach and I got married, I still didn't take a week off. And what happened, I was so uncomfortable for 2 days because I just kept thinking that I should be doing so many things right now. But then something happened. It's like I broke through this anxiety. It was almost an anxiety. And I started thinking more clearly. I got away from my list and actually started looking around in my mind. I didn't run to my planner. I had my planner with me. I had my laptop with me, but I just let it sit. And when I got home, I started taking notes and it was just getting rid of my to-do list, getting away from the check marks helped me think about strategy, helped me think about where I'm going with my company, with my product more clearly, because I wasn't just trying to get things done. It was amazing. I think we were talking about that. And
Yes.
you've got to read this book. It's a non-negotiable. You've got to read
It
this
is.
book.
It is. It's everyone. If you haven't read this book, read this book. But you hit the point there, and we'll talk about a couple points there. That whole vacation thing and that time off, geographically is different. Here in the United States, we have vacation, but a lot of times individuals will take 3-day weekends. We'll take a Friday off. We'll take a Friday and a Monday off. Don't really take a consecutive period of time off. And if you go to some other countries, they take that time off, or a large group of individuals will take time off. And it's because of what you just said, in a sense. It's you have that, it's that first couple days of, okay, I need to almost decompress out of that work mode to get into that relaxation mode. And then before you go back to work, we all know what happens on Sunday nights now. It's, okay, I have to start planning my week. This is what I have to do this week. I think this week. So you have a wind down period, then a period where you can truly appreciate that time off. And then you ramp back up again because you have to get to the week. I used to do a lot of hiking. And when I did the hiking up in the mountains is when I solved my most of my problems and felt most at peace, because I had no other thing to do besides make it up the mountain. My mind was clear of everything else, in a sense, and I was able to think more clearly. But that right there, not to context shift on you, because I want to go back to another thought that I got with. It's something that he said in the book that it also is something that I say all the time. And I don't know if I said it to you, and I think we have talked about it. I always tell everybody, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
And he pinpoint that in the book. But at a certain age, writes the psychotherapist Stephen Corp, it finally dawns on us that, shockingly, no one really cares what we're doing with our life. So all this time that we're spending running around doing things, people are self-interested and they care about themselves. Not to say that nobody cares about anybody else. Please, I'm not saying that there aren't people who generally don't care about people or care about their well-being, but even instinctively, we have to first care about ourselves. We have our hierarchy of needs, right? You need food, shelter, water for survival. So my first thing is I have to survive. Then I can start worrying about others. But in reality, nobody cares about what you're doing. You think of all these places that you go, or someone's like, hey, Kate, would you like to go out here tonight? Right? And then, no, I can't make it. Okay, well, you should come. Oh, well, it's this, that. And then you say, no, I can't make it. And you feel guilty. But then you find out you didn't go to that event. Nobody cared. Nobody missed that you weren't there. And I don't mean that, again, in a negative point. I'm just saying we put a lot of pressure on ourselves thinking that it's making an impact to someone else. And he covers this in the book as well, is we're not going to make a dent on the universe. I don't care who you are or who you think you are or what you do. You're not going to make a dent on the universe. So you need to appreciate your time and what you do with your time and spend your time doing the things that you want to do. That's another thing that I had shifted recently because of all of these concepts. I do what I want to do because I want to do it. If I want to go spend time with you, I may not be happy doing what I want to do, but making you happy and you're happy that I'm there, that's a good use of my time. So that's why I'm not trying to say that you should be self-centered to the point where it's not beneficial to others, but just be conscientious of what you're doing of your time and how it makes you feel. Because I may be miserable going to that show with you or petting your dog or something, but if it makes you really happy and it makes me happy to make you happy, then that's a good use of your time. But other than that, nobody cares. And this is one of the things, and we talk about this personally, is like, I'm very short with my words, but the thoughts behind my words are vast. Yeah. And that's what I mean by like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Think about it. Nobody cares what you're doing. Yeah. They care about themselves. If they care about them having a good time at the party and they think that you're going to make the party better. And again, these are examples.
I think that point is how I've been able to let go of guilt that comes from saying no. I can't do this. Now, if I say I'm going to do something, I want to be a dependable person to do it. But if it's something outside of my bandwidth, or especially if it's a social thing, I used to feel so guilty. Like I can't say no. Actually, yes, I can. And that is how I've let go of that guilt, is realizing no one cares. And that may be hard. That may be a hard thing to hear for a lot of people. You said, we're not going to make a dent in the universe. That is a hard thing for some people to hear because it goes against so much of our natural ego and what we're taught. There have been, this is kind of a aside, but this is an actual thought process I've had. My husband and I were in Colorado a couple of months ago, and we were standing at the top of one of the tallest mountains and looking out. It was absolutely beautiful. And I honestly thought, how many souls have stood in this space and looked out on this view in the history of time? Because this is life-changing right now. And I had like this little, like woo-woo hippie moment where I like was grateful for the lives before me that had that same moment as me. But you're right, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But again, you can say no. To go back to the mountaintop, and that's where I had the appreciation of hiking, and I'll be able to do quite a bit more again soon, is you're up and you realize how small we are. And again, it goes against the egos of many people, and it makes you start to realize, why am I doing what I'm doing? To what purpose am I doing it for? Really think about that. Like running yourself around. Why? What are you doing it for? And if you can identify what you're doing it for, and by no means am I saying don't do it. I'm saying just take a step back and say, why am I doing it? What am I getting out of it? Is this what I really want to be doing with my time? And back to your point about saying no, yes, say no. And when I say that nobody cares, it doesn't mean just like, okay, yes, Kate, I'll be there and not show up. If I tell you I'm going to be somewhere, I will be somewhere. But the most important thing is, if you're not going to go, don't play the, oh, I'll let you know. Don't play the, oh, hem and haw. Just say no.
Yeah.
Because that lets people also move on to know that you're not going to be there. And again, we're saying with going somewhere, but you can extrapolate this to any event. Any event or any time with your life. Can I have a meeting? Can I do this? No. It's important to respect your time, realize that nobody cares, but that also doesn't mean you don't respect other people's time.
Oh, that's
so
key.
That's where I'm saying, if you say you're going to do something, do it, communicate. If something happens, I'm going to be 5 minutes late. I'm going to be 10 minutes late. It's 2025. Why? I always give someone the benefit of the doubt if they don't show or they don't do something, because there could be a reason why they couldn't alert me. But in this day and age, respect other people's time. If you're going to be tardy, let somebody know you're going to be tardy. It's okay. All right. So it goes all with that. And it's another realization that I had. I spent a good portion of my life doing consultancy, where it's you look back and it just sort of, you see what it does with you when you're doing the consultancy. We'll go on this whole time value of money, because this is my latest AI kick as well too, if we have time. If you have a consultancy, well, this is important to me, because talking about time it's when you're a consultant, you go by a billable hour. So now you're starting to put your life in as a commodity of 60-minute chunks of time. And then you start treating your life as a commodity of 60-minute chunks of time. Because now I'm sitting here with you, if I were a consultant, and I'm a consultant, I'm getting paid whatever number on a number. You could make up a number. And I'm going, I have to do this because, this is actually costing me $1 million an hour, because I could actually be billing somebody $1 million an hour. Oh, I can't go over and do this because, I could be doing this. You start factoring your life into 60-minute chunks of time that, in essence, you don't get the appreciation that you should for some things that you're doing. It's a strange way to think of things, to value your time to somebody else in a monetary state in 60-minute chunks is tough to digest.
Yeah.
Because that also adds pressure to you. And you really have to take a step back and look at, again, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what are you doing it for?
I remember when I had a job as a senior in high school, and I think I made $12.50 an hour. And everything that I wanted to buy, I started thinking, how many hours do I have to work? Like, what's my time investment to go to Lilith Fair or, big day out? I was a big festival goer. So I would think, okay, I've got to work this number of hours to go to this show. And that was the way that I thought. I was compartmentalizing the things that I wanted to do in the time I had to spend to get there. That's I'm not a consultant, but I certainly understand that. So something you said a minute ago brought up another passage that I had that is like highlighted, underlined, notes in the margin. This is in the section called the watermelon problem.
What is the watermelon problem?
The watermelon problem. Do you remember the watermelon problem with the rubber bands? Very funny. At the end of your life.
Don't give that spoiler away. We do want people to read the book and get something.
I didn't say what happened. I just said the watermelon problem. Okay. At the end, are you one of those ones that's like, don't tell me the end of a movie? Are you that kind of person?
I don't want to know anything about a movie.
I don't watch movies, so
I want a summary to know what it's about, but I don't want anyone to tell me it's really, really good, really, really bad. I want to form my own judgment of a movie. And yes, I did watch the Titanic, even though I knew that it was going to sink. But I don't want you to tell me the end of the movie if I want to enjoy the experience and to see the story evolve, because that's the enjoyment that I get from it.
Have you ever heard Nate Bargatze talk about how he has no idea of history and was watching Pearl Harbor and he was so surprised at the way that it ended up?
Well, there always has to be a first time you hear a story, by the way. So if you never heard the story of Pearl Harbor and you watch the movie, I mean, there's many documentaries that I watched that I didn't know the story. And I was like, wow, that really happened.
Okay. Back to my passage. At the end of your life, looking back, whatever compelled your attention from moment to moment is simply what your life will have been. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. And then he goes on. I'm going to say it again. At the end of your life, looking back, whatever compelled your attention from moment to moment is simply what your life will have been. So when you pay attention to something you don't especially value, it's not an exaggeration to say you're paying with your life. It makes me want to audit my attention the same way I audit my finances, my budget.
Boom. Exactly what I was saying. You're paying, like, the time, you don't get the time back. This is time that you're spending doing something that you don't get back.
Yeah.
And you have to look back and you say, why? And some of it, you and I are in the same age bracket. And that old saying, had I known then what I know now, like, I remember growing up. And when you're 18, someone who's 30 seems old. And then forget it, someone who's 50 or 60 seems ancient.
Right.
But then it's that whole realization. I think it's, you get to a point, have to accept, I have less time left to live than I've lived.
Right.
Statistically. So then it's like, then you start to really, maybe some of this stuff is why it started to hit me more so recently, within the past year or so. Because, listen, I'm not one who's saying, I'm afraid to die, whatever. Listen, we all die.
I'm going to do math and see how many weeks old I am.
Well, it will tell you, do it while we're talking, but it's even, they say right in the book, we will all be dead at any minute. It's going to happen. You can't outdo it. So then you start to look back and you get a different appreciation of your time, as we were just talking about. And why do I want to do it that time? And it's some of the things we say before is, how do you cope and how do you deal with it? I have a lot to do on my list, more so than I'll ever do. But sometimes I have to take time to do something else and I'll get pressured. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. But then maybe for some leisure thing, I'm like, oh, I can't do that because I have to get this stuff done for work. I actually have to sit and coach myself. And this is why having a list helps, because I'm like, okay, it's on the list. I'm not going to get it. But I should appreciate the opportunity to spend this time with my family today.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. You're guaranteed that time won't be there. When I say tomorrow, it's figurative, right? Define tomorrow, but that time may not be there tomorrow. And I'm not saying be haphazard with work and not doing work or some of the other things, but just pay attention to what you're doing. And again, ask yourself, why am I doing this?
I think it's important.
Is this the best use of my time?
Yes.
Sorry, I could talk forever.
I think it's important to be doing work that fulfills you, to be working with people that bring out new good things in you. I think surrounding yourself with those kinds of things, if we are spending 40, 45, 50 hours of our week in the work that we do and the people that we work with, what does that look like? My work, I'm in tech. Like, I work for a company that processes credit card payments. But my goodness, the people that I get to work with, the boss that I have is inspirational on so many levels in being creative and innovative. Is the job that I have like, am I moving mountains? No, I'm saving people money on their credit card processing. But I'm also working with people that inspire me. I'm doing so much community work now that fulfills me and giving people voices that might not have had giving people space to share their voice that might not have had a space before. I did the math. 300 weeks old.
So you have about 1,700 weeks to live. And to go back to your point, this is what, 168 hours in a week? And you spend 40% of those working? But it's true. It goes back to a bigger point. You become what you surround yourself with. Whatever you surround yourself with, you're going to become. So now you have 40% of your week you're spending at work. Some will spend more. All these individuals that, think of the ones that travel to and from, which is extra from the 40-hour work week, because nobody travels within the 40-hour work week, as we'll call it. And then now you have to sleep. Theoretically, you should sleep. I used to always think that I didn't need sleep, and no one has a greater appreciation of sleep than I do at this point, because I found I'm far more productive, because I'm far more rested.
That's another book we've both read, the sleep book.
The Why You Sleep?
Yeah, the Why You Sleep book.
And again, if you're into this high pressure, miserable environment, you're going to become a miserable person. So you have to make sure you're doing what you're doing for the right reasons and why you're surrounding yourself with it. Listen, everybody has their reasons for doing what they're doing. I'm not saying that everything is rosy. Yes, life has hardships. Yes, there are things that you have to do with your time that you don't want to do for another outcome. I'm not one of those that is sitting here saying, oh, you should do this, everything's rosy. But conceptually, you can apply this to different areas of your life to have a better outlook on life and not feel so rushed.
So when you think about attention as currency of your life, what is taking up the most currency for you right now? And are you happy with your answer?
That's a difficult question. I have been working and have worked at points where there's a couple factors of that, right? There's many things that bring me joy with what I'm doing. What I first had to do was step back and say, it's okay that I'm not doing that. I really enjoy photography. I really enjoy technology. I really enjoy learning AI. I really enjoy going out and going hiking. The reality is I can't do all of those things. So a lot of times people say, am I happy? They put themselves in a spot where they're saying, I'm not happy because I'm not doing something else, instead of turning around and saying, am I happy doing what I'm doing? So to answer your question, there are things that I do now that I'm not happy doing, but I need to do because it's allowing me to do the other things that allow me to be happy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there are things that I'm doing. Thankfully at work, I really enjoy what I do. I tell everyone that. I don't ever wake up in the morning going, oh gosh, I have to work today, because I get to enjoy doing that. Then the other things I do personally, I also realize I enjoy those. Do I want to be doing many other things? Yes, but I don't say that I'm not happy because I'm not doing those. And I'll go back to the work thing. Listen, everybody has things in their day that they're not happy doing. Okay. It's part of unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just part of it. So when I say that, I'm happy doing everything at work, there are things that I have to do at work that I'm not happy doing, but I do it because I need to do it. It's my responsibility. And I elected that to be my responsibility. But for the most part, you can put yourself to be happy by changing your perspective. Maybe having a sense of appreciation that I'm doing this and making sure, am I being fulfilled at some point in my life for doing this? So to go back to your question,
yeah.
I am happy doing what I'm doing. Would I like some things to be different? Yes.
I think it goes back to that first quote that I read. Some of the inconveniences of life, I have to flip the way that I'm thinking about them and think, I get to do them. It's, it's not, are there things about my job that no, there's lots of things about my job I don't love. There's lots of things I hate laundry. It's never going to end. I read a short blog and it said, I challenge you to start making your life more romantic, I think was the word that it used. Like pour a glass of wine or whatever it is that you're, sparkling water with lime or whatever, do something. Put on music that you love and make the chore, whatever it is that you're doing, more fun. I have learned to listen to audiobooks when I'm doing things I don't love because I really love listening to audiobooks. I like being challenged. And so I'm doing that while doing the task that I'm doing. And that brings me joy. Or, I'll make a playlist, and some Fridays, ooh, this is so nerdy, I'm about to admit this. Some Fridays I'll make a playlist for my chores that are going to be on Saturday just to get me through it.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it goes with changing the perspective of what you're doing with your time and not looking at it like I had mentioned a moment ago. Don't look at what you're not doing, look at what you're doing, because it's even in the book, it's living more fully in the present, maybe simply a matter of finally realizing that you don't have any of the option but to be here now anyway.
Right.
It's a lot of this is perspective, and a lot of this is really taking a step back and understanding what you're doing and realizing that time is finite, but there's an infinite number of things to do, and it's okay to not do them.
You mentioned that you love technology. Do you think that technology has made it harder to live with intention or just more complicated?
I think it depends on which phase of technology you're talking about. I think at some point technology makes things harder. So again, if you're talking about back at the early Bronze Age days of we invented an axe, it made things a little bit easier because you could cut trees down and build houses a little bit easier and you'd have shelter. Fast forward to today where, again, technology is being used and there's a big pressure on efficiency and everybody's saying, okay, do this, be more, technology is going to make you more efficient. Technology is going to make you do this. I think today, the way individuals are pressuring in 2025 with AI, again, I always try to say I like to go a day or so without hearing about it because the pressure and there's other things around it. There's other things that exist without it. And look at the stress and pressure it's causing on people to become more efficient. Whereas if you take, they have some of those I don't want to call them civilizations, but those communities that were untouched by technology. If you look at some of those remote areas, they're living a much happier, peaceful life because they don't have that pressure of getting things done. They don't have that pressure of efficiency, and this will make you faster, and this will allow you to do something. Again, you go back with time. If you look at someone who gets paid by the hour per se, okay, if I have a task that I'm going to go on a rant here. Is that okay? If I veer off the road and I context switch on you too much, just pull me back in. My mind goes a lot faster than my mouth, unfortunately. And it's creating a lot of pressure because now I can become more efficient. I can get something done in an hour that I used to get done in 4 hours.
But you're still going to fill the empty space.
You still have to fill
else.
the empty space. It goes with the whole time value of money, right? We value time. We don't value output. Therefore, my time, I become more efficient. I can get something done in 1 hour. I now need to fill those other 3 hours. What do I fill those 3 hours with? If I need to fill those 3 hours with output, it's exponential. Now I need 3 other tasks that would have taken 4 hours to fit into that 4-hour window. That's a lot of pressure. But then again, now those 4 hours each compress themselves because now instead of having 1 4-hour task, you have 3 4-hour tasks that you can do in 4 hours. Therefore, you have 3 additional 12 hours that you need to fill. Well, 3, right? 1, 4, 4, 3. Yeah. Additional 12 hours because you condensed those 4 that you need to fill. So has technology helped? It depends on what aspect of technology you're helping with. It does afford us the conveniences of some things, but nobody's just saying, okay, it took me an hour to do this task. I'm going to take this next 3 hours to sit and enjoy doing something that I want to be doing. No, we have pressure to say, how are we going to fill it? Instead of saying, oh, no, I can go outside and enjoy the sunshine. I can go enjoy the plants. I could go give back to my community. See, I really would love to see us, instead of getting so fast trying to fill time, we're going to have to get back to be a communal species instead of an isolated species, which we're training ourselves to be.
I completely agree.
We're all depressed because we're all becoming solitary. If you go back into the feast, siloed, thank you. That was a great show. Great book series, too. No, but if you go back to even like in the 50s at houses, everyone had porches in the front. Now everybody's putting their porches in the back, putting fences around their yard. This is my spot. I'm doing this. Whereas now, let's all get stuff done and then do more to make everybody better, right? It doesn't have to be, let's rush. I'm going to get this done. I need this. I need more. I need more. I need more. It's an addiction, right? You get that dopamine rush of addiction instead of just saying, okay, I got what I needed to get done. Let's see what we can do to help each other.
I think that's why, I said right now I'm doing a lot of community work and community building, and that's so fulfilling for me because of what you just said, especially since, I've been working at home for all of my career, but a lot of people, it's a newer thing. They've been at home for maybe 5 years and working from home. But what it's done is people don't know how to have conversations when they're in person now. Like one of my daughter's friends just told me, like, the thought of having to call the doctor's office and make a doctor's appointment is like, she's like, immediately no. And I'll admit I'm a little bit that way too. If there's an online booking thing, I'm probably going to do that. But like, people don't get off of their infinite scroll and start having a personal connection. And it's so important. And the more community work that I do, and specifically like in our dynamics community, the more community work that I do, I see more and more how much we really do need each other. I've had all these text message threads of groups that have popped up in like the last couple of months. And I get so excited to have that connection with these community, people in the community, even if it's just a quick exchange or an audio message. I love an audio message. Send me because then I get to hear your voice, or send me a video message because I get to see both, hear your voice, see your face. It's important. And I am very grateful to have, the company and the leadership that I have, that is quite literally a part of my job. Being a community builder, building community is a compelling saga of my company. So I get that benefit. So I'm saying I would never give it up. I say Wade Tetsuko stuck with me until the end of time. So what can you do to connect? That going back, that whole idea of at the end of it all, what we spent our time with is who we are. That statement has made me put down my phone. That statement, because I don't want to get to the end of my days and the timestamp that I've spent scrolling is more than the words that I've exchanged with other people. We all have an idea of a legacy that we hope that we're leaving, right? A stamp on our own little universe. On the big universe, no, but I think we can leave a stamp on our own little sphere. I hope that to have been the mother that my children needed. I hope to be the friend that my friends need. And my partner, even my four-legged babies, all that. I hope that I'm able to, that's what is remembered, not that I have my face in my phone.
Yes, it drives me crazy when I go places and I see people that are doing that. When I go out to dinner or I go places with somebody, I tell everybody, if we're at dinner or something, no phones. And it's only about being present, because if you look at all these other people, I've gone out and we've had conversations at dinner going out, and you see people, they spend the whole time scrolling on the phone. And I'm the type that if I'm going to go to dinner with you, if you're going to spend your entire time on the phone, why do I even want to go to dinner with you? I could just go by myself and scroll myself. It's why are you there? Be present when you're there. And the only time I will use the phone is if it's part of the conversation, because I have said, oh, I saw this story, where you're including each other in it, right? So it's not that you're scrolling, but you may use it for reference to see a story or look at a picture or somewhat engage with each other, but use it as part of the conversation. It's the equivalent of saying, hey, would you like to taste this food? It tastes nasty or it tastes well, but you can use the phone with it. And we as a society are stuck with that addiction. But you get into the whole point, even Why We Sleep talks about that whole addiction with the scrolling and what it's doing to your brain. I think he even talks about, I read so many books, Stolen Focus. Yes, that was not it. Stolen Focus was the other book that you need to read. Thank you. I think I told you about that one too.
We have the trifecta. We should package them up and go on a book tour with them. It's
I'm
Stolen
going to
Focus,
contact the
Why We
author of this
Sleep.
book to see if he'll be on the podcast. I just came up with that. It's I'll reach out to him and see, because this listen, he may be, worst he's going to say is no or not answer me. That's the way I look at it. When I do things in life, I always ask that, what's the worst that's going to happen? And if the answer is going to be someone says no, okay. My life will not change anyway if someone says no. Yes, I may get a little more fulfilled. It's good. Yes, Stolen Focus, unbelievable. Why We Sleep, and 4,000 Weeks. Mortal's Guide to Time Management.
I mean, if you're listening and you want to shake things up, if you're not happy with the way that maybe you feel stagnant, maybe you feel like, you want a new perspective, a new lease. I mean, we're coming up on a new year. I personally, Brad, this is an aside, I personally do not think that the dead of winter is the time to make New Year's resolutions. I think the time to make resolutions, I'm not a real big resolutions maker, but in a time of growth when things are coming back alive, so in the spring. So I'm going to throw that down. Like, you have time before the spring to read these 3 books. But I think those 3 are so powerful because it does come back to an audit of your life. What are you doing with your time? Where are you surrendering over your focus? And it's these questions. And like I asked you, are you happy with your answer? And if you're not, what needs to happen to change that? Going back to that when I finally mindset. When my kids were little, I thought, when the kids are older, I'll run a Spartan, or when the kids are older, I'll finally have more time for myself. And then the kids got older, and now I'm like, oh, when I finally get my workload under control,
something will always fill that spot.
Something will always fill that space. So when do this is not you, just us, when do we get to the point where enough is enough? Like, right now is enough. And right now I get to live this life because there's going to be another project on the heel of this project. There's going to be something else that's going to pull you away. And at some point you have to say, that's enough. Everything I have right now, for me, I value my life in my relationships. The people that is my success measure. For me, it's also, I'm a very curious person. So what am I doing to learn something new? I love learning new things, whether it be an idea or an actual thing. Like, I want to take a pottery class right now. That is where I want to be known for how I'm spending my time. So the only other, this book has been a big shift for me in that, because I've lived most of my life, transparently, I've lived most of my life in the when I finally mindset. So it never comes. Finally never comes.
I think we all do. I think we all live in that. And to go back to your question, are you happy? Before anyone answers that question, say, why are you unhappy?
That's
are
a
you
good one.
Unhappy because you want to be doing something else because of that pressure? That's what I was trying to say when you asked me if I'm happy doing what I'm doing, because you have to take a step back at, why am I unhappy? Is it reasonable for me to be unhappy? Am I not happy because I'm not hiking every weekend? Right? And is it just because the act of what I'm doing? Is the act of what I'm doing, I kind of misspoke that, but am I not happy doing what I'm doing because I want to be doing something else? Is that something else something that's reasonable? Am I happy doing what I'm doing, but I'm just have that FOMO on that other thing that I'm not doing? Am I unhappy because I'm not traveling the world, because I look at Kate's Instagram and I see that she's all in these nice, luxurious mountains and hotels and restaurants and eating?
It was one time, Brad.
No, but that's my point. It's like I think the perspective that you have to take is, you have to ask, why are you unhappy?
Yeah.
Because you're never going to achieve happiness if you're always saying, am I happy? It's almost like, Kate, take a look at this and tell me what's wrong.
Yeah.
You're going to find something wrong every single time. And you do have to evaluate to make sure you're happy. I'm not saying that some people are genuinely unhappy and they're waiting for something else, right? They're in situations in their life that they're very truly unhappy for, and they're waiting to that point where they're not, where they're when this time comes, I'll be happy because I won't have to be doing this any longer. But I really think you need to take a step back and say, why am I unhappy? And if I truly am unhappy, then what do I need to do to be happy?
Yeah. And that question, yes. And then asking too, how do I define enough? Like what does that look like for me? For me, it's time with my people. I said the relationships that I have in my life is my enough. And if that is my enough, am I aligned in the way that I'm spending my time? You said, like, sometimes you're having to do things in your life you don't like to do, but it affords you the freedom to do the things that you do. I love my job. If I woke up tomorrow and didn't have to work, would I still work? Probably not. I love my job. It affords me the luxury of doing the things that I want to do, which is create experiences for the people that are in my life and have a book full of memories. That's my enough. So I think asking the questions that you're posing and then figuring out what is your enough helps get some things in order, some perspectives in order, some priorities in order. At least it has for me.
It has for me. I monitor my sleep and my sleep scores, and ever since I've made some changes, I'm much happier. I'm much more relaxed. Yes, I still have some pressures and stuff, but I also understand that I can't get everything done. That old saying, there's only 24 hours in a day, is true. You're not going to make any more of those minutes, of those seconds. You can get more done, but at what cost, right? What pressure do you have? What do you do with the time when you do become a little bit more efficient? It's a challenge. I almost wish we didn't track things by time. Like, why do we have time?
Well, do you want to know the history of time, Brad?
I've read the book of the history of everything, but I think he even talked about it in the book about the whole church bells and the history of those, because early days they'd rise with the sun, set with the sun, and they would just do what needed to be done during the day. And ones can argue that maybe they had a more difficult life or didn't. I'd argue. Listen, I'd love to live back then with electricity and clean water, right? Like you see on TV how people lived back before electricity and water, and it's like, oh, that's so glamorous. They did this. No, I'm sorry. I need my air conditioning.
I need
my running water.
Creature comforts is what I call them.
Yeah. Yeah. But they lived life differently. Like, really put that in there. If you didn't have a schedule other than sun up to sundown and tasks to do to get done, and you don't have the pressure of time on it, how does that change your life?
You know, another, I just remembered this, another point that kind of hit me. I was a wedding photographer for 10 years, and that meant that
I thought that was a secret.
What?
I thought that was a secret.
No,
you told me not to tell anybody.
I've come out about it now.
You lied to me.
I was a wedding photographer for 10 years. And it meant that I was gone almost every weekend. And so I missed so much of life with my family, with my kids especially. And the thing that made me finally say, this is it, I'm not doing this anymore, was missing Junior Olympics with my son. He went to go play Junior Olympics for volleyball, and I was shooting a reception and watched it on my phone, or part of it on my phone. And so there's time, and there's what we're doing with our time, but there's also this huge idea of how our time aligns with the other people in our life. So for me, when I was working, most people weren't. And when I wasn't working, most people were. So I would have my, Monday through Thursday, I would say pretty much free. I would be working and be editing, whatever. And I would be like, want to go have brunch with a friend or, and everyone was working. So all of a sudden I had all this time, but no one else did. Burkeman talks about that a little bit in the book and how it's important to align our time, be intentional with our time. My husband and I both work a lot. But I will say that's one thing that we have done is be very intentional about our time and say, this section of time is ours and we're not going to let it be interrupted. We try to plan things and have something to look forward to together. So that's a big part of time, is how does your time, your free time, align with the other people in your life? And if it doesn't align, how are you putting some intention around making that happen? Which is
extreme.
Yeah, which can be
It's
tough.
extremely important, and you appreciate it more as you get older. You look back, and you really wish you were there. And some of those things that you did and where you focus your time is challenging. It's another thing. Work is work. You should be smart about work. You should get work done. But if something happens, and that work will not go. I remember Kate, she worked every single weekend. She worked 20 hours a day. She did this. It's just sometimes things happen. Sometimes it's a hard decision that you may have to go somewhere else. But you want to know something? Your kid will remember for the rest of their lives that you missed their first home run.
That's right.
And again, I'm not saying be foolish. You should go to all their games. Listen, you want to participate, but try to do your best to put yourself where you can prioritize some of those things over other things. And again, why are you doing what you're doing with your time? You only have a finite amount of it, and you need to appreciate it.
There's so much in this book. Like, I cannot stress the importance enough. I'll put it in show notes, a link to it. 4,000 Weeks. What's the little tagline down? Time Management for Mortals, Oliver Burkman.
Yes.
There's also Why We Sleep and Stolen Focus. I'll link all those. I've listened to this book again this week. In preparation for this hugely, but also this is one of those books that I will revisit again twice a year. It's that important.
I will revisit it again. I think I never understood audiobooks because I really can't focus on it. I really like to have the Kindle to read, and I can be present with it. In the audiobook, sometimes I think it could be easy to distract, but I think from just listening to this conversation, I think to me an audiobook I'm going to attempt as a second read. Meaning I'll read it the first time for content, do absorption. Then the second time I can read it similar to how I listen to other podcasts and such, maybe as I'm doing something else, or if I'm sitting there and my mind wanders a little, it's okay because it's more of a refresher and I may hear something that I may have missed if I do that periodically. So I think I'm going to do that as well.
So here's my process for reading a book, because I read a lot. This is a little, maybe this is a hack. We'll call it a hack. So I have a process every time I read a book. The first thing I do is listen to the Blinkist. The reason I asked, do you like for people to tell you about a movie or a show or something? Because that's kind of what a Blinkist is. A Blinkist is like an audible cliff notes of a book. So I'll listen to a Blinkist. It's like 15 minutes. And then I'll decide, okay, this is great. This is something that I'm going to want to invest my time in, because I have a stack of probably 15 books on my bedside table waiting just while my guitar gently weeps. So I will listen to a Blinkist. Then I'll decide, yep, I'm going to read it. I will get it on Audible and I'll start listening. If it grabs me, like 4,000 Weeks did, I will purchase it and I'll read it. Always when I'm done, I listen to the Blinkist again. I go back and listen to it again. That's my process. If someone were listening right now and they maybe feel like they're drowning in
their sorrows,
drowning in life and busyness, what is one thing besides read this book? Like, what is one thing that you would tell them that they could do today to make a change?
I think taking a step back, and it's something we spoke about earlier, and realizing you're not going to do everything. It's okay. Don't look at everything that you, and yes, that goes with it. And nobody cares. That's a saying. It's everyone that's in my life. I say nobody cares. That's the answer to me for a lot of things. I'm like, just nobody cares. They ask me questions, what I think about this. And I'm like, nobody cares. And that's what I mean. Nobody really cares. No, but I think anyone who just definitely read the book, but take a step back and realize that it's okay not to do things and be okay with it. Don't worry about the rat race of trying to, or the fast conveyor belt of trying to get everything done, because it gets faster and faster and faster and faster, and you're going to stress yourself out. Take a look at what you need to do, but accept what you can't do. Start looking at it from that point of view. And I think that will be the first page into you having a fulfilled time management on your life.
That's really good. I think that's the action point right now is, I said how we're spending our time. I manage it the same way you would audit your finances. Audit your time. What are you doing? How are you spending it? What is enough? Slow down and look around and ask, are you spending the currency of your life the way you want to?
It truly is. Would you spend this money on food? Would you spend this money on this? Again, is this worth the cost of your life, what you're doing? That's a question to ask yourself.
Brad, thank you for unpacking this with me. This is a conversation I know we will continue to have. We talk about this every time we see each other. You have always, since I've met you, you've always had a way of seeing things differently with a calmer lens. And I think just like what you said, slow down. That's what this conversation reminds us to do. Just slow down and look around, take inventory of your life, audit your life, see where you're spending your life, and ask, am I happy with the answer? If you're listening right now, remember this: your life is what you give your attention to. You don't have to do it all. You're not going to be able to do it all. You just have to stop, slow down, and start noticing. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Coffey Talk. A special thanks to my guests for sharing their story, and to you, the listener, for being a part of this conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a Monday morning chat. Until next time, I'm Kate Coffey-Bacon, and this has been Coffey Talk.